All right, let's have a quick conversation about this young lady. Seems to be an educated young woman, but definitely, the understanding of the dynamic between men and women is something that's going completely over her head. So let's go through her video.
To be completely honest with y'all, okay, and I don't know if this was my own ignorance or what, but until like the past 5 years, I did not realize how many black men hate black women. And
All right. So she's saying that there's a mass, not a majority. She goes on to make sure she clarifies not a majority, but that there is a mass of men who actually hate black women. So I find this funny that she feels this way, and I'll tell you why. Because I can't find content online of black men celebrating the deaths of black women. I can't find that. I can't find online black men trying to come up with a plan to erase black women from existence. I cannot find that. I can't find content online of black men celebrating, misfortune for black women. Them being raped or them being assaulted, or them being brutalized by the police. I cannot find that. But I tell you what I can find. I tell you what I do see. I tell you what I find as I scroll through TikTok and other social media, as I go through these different lives. I find black women that say these things about black men. So this isn't a tit for tat. It is me showing how, what a low level of awareness the average black woman has when it comes to what is actually being communicated from black men to black women versus black women to black men. And I'm going to tell you something. When you confront black women with Cynthia G or with these other content creators who literally have hundreds of thousands of followers, drop videos that get millions of views, thousands of comments, thousands of likes, tens of thousands of comments, thousands of likes. When you talk about these content creators to black women, they play dumb, and it's insulting. They pretend as if I've never heard that before. I've never seen that before. I've never blah, 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 blah before. Yes, you have. Yes, you have. So I think it's funny that when you come online and you see black men who are holding black women accountable, they're not wishing death, they're not wishing some negative outcome on them. The worst I hear men wish on black women is, man, I hope y'all be alone. Be alone. Be alone. And the reason they hope that is because they don't want anybody else to suffer going through the women that they're talking about, being yelled at or screamed at or abused or gaslit or zero accountability situation, or being financially exploited, which so many of there's so many women in our community that talk about using children, using their ability to birth children, their divine ability to make a person, to leverage that over men for money and things of that nature, or to use those children to harm the man by using that divine ability to withhold the children from the father as a punishment, at the cost of the child, to punish the father. When women pretend like they don't hear or see any of this, ladies, I'm going to tell you something. We don't believe you. We just think you're dishonest. We don't think to ourselves, man, she's never seen any of that. We say, this woman's dishonest. That's what we say. So she had no clue that black men had any grievances with black women. She had no clue that black men don't look at the single mother issue the same way that black women look at it, as a whole bunch of men who just leave the women, as opposed to the way that the men look at it, which is a whole bunch of women attracted to irresponsible men who are hoping to change them to responsible men by giving them children, or a whole bunch of women who are looking to try to benefit from the system by making children to get paychecks, which you have seen female content creators talk about the best way to have children by different guys so that you can maximize the amount of child support you get by not having all your babies by the same man. We've all seen the same videos. Or as if we haven't seen the numbers pertaining to the community, where there's twice as many women who have children outside of wedlock than there are men. Ladies, we are never going to look at this the way you look at it. And if you want male leadership, You're going to have to put down your feelings and follow what the men are saying, period, end. But in terms of us putting down how we see it as men and going over to your side, yielding to you, submitting in this idea to you, it's not ever going to happen. The way this problem is going to be fixed in the community is you guys are going to have to follow the men. The men are not going to follow you. So let's keep it moving.
Of course, this is a sum, not all, and I'm not even going to say the majority, but it is a pretty significant number. And of course, as a mental health care provider, I know a lot of this stems from trauma, possibly with their mother or another female in the past.
So here she says this stems from trauma, possibly from your mother. So the person who raised you messed you up. This person, your mother, is a black woman. So you're saying that the person who raised you, the single mother, is the one who messed you up. You're saying that you ran into another woman who was probably raised by a single mother, and she's the one who messed you up. Okay? Okay? If you ladies that are dealing with these pookies, do you think these guys are coming from two-parent homes, or do you think they're being raised by single mothers? So the guys you're complaining about that are hyper-violent, hypersexual, or no accountability, no responsibility, Peter Pan syndrome, Oedipus syndrome, right? Thinking that they're their mother's lover or have a emotionally incestuous relationship as you describe, right? Those men are raised by their mother, okay? And then the ladies that we're complaining about, hypersexual, hyper independent, hyper violent, right? Zero accountability, responsibility, Peter Pan syndrome, as that manifests on the female side, multiple children, multiple dads. These women are raised by their mother, the woman, okay? And who's the woman when you talk to her? She's single, she's independent, she don't need a man. She's a boss chick. She's a diva, she's a goddess, she's a queen of Nefertiti. She thinks like you. Your mindset is producing the children you're complaining about on both the men's side and the female side, because you can't get with the responsible black man, because the responsible black man believes in personal responsibility. So that's why he doesn't have any children outside of wedlock, right? And that's why you do. Not you, young lady. I don't know your life or what you're doing, but you have the ladies who talk like you have the kids outside of wedlock, and men who talk like me don't, because I believe in personal responsibility. And because you don't, and you blame the men, or you blame racism, or you blame sexism, or you blame feminism, or you blame and blame and blame and blame and blame, you don't believe that you have a responsibility and control over your own behavior. And so your outcomes are a zero accountability outcome. That's the problem. You're going to have to agree with the men. Even if you don't agree with the men, you're going to have to side with your men on this issue and how we want to handle it. And the way we want to handle it is to teach personal responsibility to the women and tell them they can't fuck irresponsible men anymore with no condoms. That's going to be the answer. The answer is not going to be we yield to you and then we start making irresponsible men responsible for the women who screw them and have children for them. That's not going to be the solution. It's going to be that we stop allowing women to make excuses for irresponsible women and to celebrate baby mamas and baby mama culture. Let's keep it moving.
Or maybe they had an emotionally incestuous relationship with their mother, and that's why they have these perspectives. But whatever the case may be, it is disturbing. It is a black woman's fault that she is a single mom, even though it is the man who left. It is a black...
All right, and I'm going to stop the video here really quick. She says, this is a black woman's fault because the man left. What did he leave? Did he leave a marriage? Are we talking about divorcees? No. What did he leave? Did he leave a relationship? Maybe. Do you think the majority of these kids, 80+% of the kids being born out of wedlock, do you think they're being born from committed boyfriend-girlfriend relationships pointed towards marriage? Let's be real. No. So what did the man leave? He left some woman he was having sex with. You had an irresponsible man leave a woman he was screwing. And y'all talking about black man leave. It wasn't nothing to leave. Y'all wasn't doing nothing except some sex. And then you decided to make a person out of it. Not you, but a woman decided to make a person out of it. And now all of a sudden the man left because he don't want to stay and play house. He didn't leave. He went with you.
Black woman's fault that she has to be independent, even though the men around her were not being supportive. And yes, of course, women have to.
No, the men around you were not being supportive. Nobody owes you support as an adult making adult decisions. Nobody owes you support as an adult making adult decisions. If you want a father for your children, you need to set that up by finding a husband first. And if you want to have children without finding a father, then you don't get to say, you know what, everybody needs to build a family around me and this baby I'm having. Everybody needs to adjust to build a family around me and this baby that I'm having that I didn't plan for, with the man that doesn't want it, with the man that doesn't want me. That's not the solution.
Take accountability for the people that they allow in their life and the decisions that they make. But at what point do we begin holding men accountable? At what
So she says, at what point do we hold men accountable? Okay, so I'm a responsible black man who had all my children inside of wedlock with one woman. I have 3 kids, and said, what is it that I'm supposed to do with the man you're screwing? What do I owe you, or I owe him, the man that you decided to have a baby for? What is it that I am supposed to do? The answer is nothing. The answer is I don't owe you shit, right? That's obviously the answer, right? Okay, so if I don't owe you shit, then who is it that's supposed to step into the box? Well, the man should, but he's an irresponsible man. Responsible men aren't attractive to you, or you're willing to have sex with, unprotected sex with no condom with irresponsible men, or men who don't, a man who doesn't want to marry you. So if you get to pick the guy, why is it my responsibility to turn him into a man when you only want to screw him before he's responsible? Why would that be my responsibility? I'm being serious. I'm being serious. And then not only that, think about it like this. If you have a child, and let's say me and you were husband and wife, okay? And we have a child together. And I'm telling our kid they shouldn't eat any snacks before dinner, okay? But every day before dinner, our child comes to you and he says, Mom, I really love some candy. And then you say, okay, well, I'm going to give you some candy. Just don't let daddy know. And then he eats the candy and then he doesn't do a good job eating his dinner. And so I'm going after him and saying, hey, you need to make sure you finish your food. And every day he's sitting at the table. He doesn't want to eat his food. He's sitting there for an extra 20, 30 minutes chewing on the same piece of broccoli because he doesn't want to eat his food. And then I come to you and I say, hey, I don't know how he's getting to the candy. And you say, oh, well, I'm giving it to him. Well, I can't get him to eat his food if you're going to give him the candy. So we need to be working together. But you don't want to work with me because you're like, no, I mean, he's so sweet. He's asking. It's a vibe. It's a vibe. I was young. I didn't know any better. How are men supposed to correct the behavior of stupid bad men when you are rewarding them with sex and children? These guys have multiple kids by multiple women. How is it, even if I did believe it was my responsibility to make a responsible man out of the irresponsible guys you like fucking, even if I did accept that charge, how could I do that while you reward these men with sex and children? As if I associate with these types of guys at all, which I don't. Responsible birds of a feather flock together. Responsible men don't hang out with Pookies and Ray Rays. We don't hang out with multiple baby daddies. So we don't have access to these men. You do when you let them in your bed. And then you want us to hold them to task or hold them accountable while you continue to reward them with sex and children. So this is the broken logic and reasoning of women. And they get too emotional and they're too triggered to listen to the whole thing so that they can understand why their thinking literally does not work. Could not work. Even if I agreed with you, it would not work. Even if I agreed with you, it would not work because you're handing them candy before dinner, right? And instead of you guys having to come into Jesus moment and saying, you know what? I think we ought to stop fucking irresponsible men instead of blaming irresponsible men for being ain't shit dudes. He wasn't shit before you let him inside of you. And it's not responsible men's responsibility to fix him. So I'm sorry, ladies. I'm sorry. This isn't going to get better until you get honest with yourself and you take responsibility for who gets access to your divine womb. It's not going to get any better until then.
Point do we say, hey, men, do better?
Never. We never say
I'm going to
it.
be completely honest with you.